I used to think the worst kind of betrayal came wrapped in screaming, accusations, and dramatic exits. Turns out the worst kind is quiet, casual, typed out in 3 careless letters that didn't match the weight of what she was doing. Her name was Emily, and for almost 3 years I believed she was my safe place. She had this calm warmth to her. The kind that made you forget the sharp edges of the world. I'm Alex, 32, a software engineer who doesn't talk much but feels things deeply, probably more deeply than is good for me. And Emily always said I overfelt everything. That word never bothered me until the night she decided to grab drinks with her ex because he was going through a hard time. I didn't like it, but I didn't want to seem controlling. So I asked a simple question. "Are you sure that's a good idea?" She replied almost instantly. "Relax." Just that one word, slicing through every quiet instinct that told me something was off. Relax. Like she was telling me to calm down during turbulence she had created. Like I was the unreasonable one. Like my feelings were a buzzing noise she could sweat away. She left 15 minutes later, smelling like citrus and vanilla, wearing the sweater she claimed made her feel cute. I stood by the window in our apartment in Seattle, watching her drive off toward a man she once loved, wondering what part of this was supposed to feel normal. An hour passed, then 2, then 3. No update, no call, just silence, the kind that fills your chest with cold water. At 1:14 a.m. my phone finally buzzed. Not a call, not a text saying she was on her way home. Just a message. "Still with him. He's talking a lot. Relax. Be home later." Twice in one night. Relax. It felt less like reassurance and more like dismissal. Like she was speaking to a child tugging at her sleeve. So I sat there with the ache, with the realization that my trust had been thinning for months. Small lies, delayed responses, stories that didn't quite line up. That's when I sent the reply that changed everything. Not angry, not emotional, just honest and final. "Take your time. The keys are on the counter. I won't be here when you get back." No threats, no fight. Just a quiet boundary drawn after too many chances. I placed the spare key beside the coffee maker, packed a small bag, and left the apartment we'd shared in Seattle. I didn't slam the door. I didn't even look back at the hallway we'd painted yellow one weekend, when she said she wanted a happier space. I drove to my brother's place in Portland. He didn't ask many questions, just tossed me a blanket and said, "Stay as long as you need." At 2:03 a.m. the calls started. First 1 ring, then 3, then 5, then nonstop. I didn't answer. I lay there on the couch, staring at the ceiling, watching her number flash across my screen again and again. Each missed call another crack in whatever was left between us. By morning she had left 12 voicemails. I didn't listen at first, but curiosity eventually won. The first was angry. "Are you serious, Alex? This is ridiculous." The second was sharper. "You're being dramatic." The third had a tremble in it. "You can't just leave like that." By the 7th she was furious. "This is childish. Pick up." But it was the 10th voicemail that stuck with me. Quiet, breathy, trembling in a way I'd never heard from her. "Alex, please call me. Please." Still I said nothing, because for the first time in years I realized silence was the only language she truly listened to. By afternoon she had run out of anger and slipped into desperation. 24 missed calls, dozens of texts, all variations of the same sentiment. Confusion mixed with indignation. "We just talked. Why are you acting like this? Can we please be adults about it? You're overreacting." But she never said sorry. Not once. Not in those first frantic hours. I didn't respond. I let the silence breathe between us. It wasn't revenge. I wasn't trying to punish her. I just finally understood how exhausting it was to keep explaining pain to someone who had never cared to understand it. Around 5 p.m., my brother walked into the living room holding my buzzing phone. "She's persistent," he said. "Yeah." "You going to talk to her?" "No." He sat beside me. Good. It was strange, almost liberating, to feel the weight lifting simply because I'd stopped pretending everything was fine. I'd spent years shrinking myself so she could stretch comfortably. Now, in this small living room with mismatched curtains and a couch that squeaked every time I moved, I finally felt like I could breathe again. That night she showed up. I heard her before I saw her. Her knock wasn't frantic. It was angry, controlled anger. The kind she saved for moments she thought she deserved more than she was getting. "Alex, open the door," she said, voice sharp through the wood. My brother answered instead, crossing his arms as he blocked the doorway. He doesn't want to talk. She tried to peek past him. Alex, can we just discuss this? I think there's been a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? I finally said, stepping into view. Her eyes softened instantly, shifting from irritation to performance, something I'd grown all too familiar with. Yes, you're upset. I get it. But leaving? That was unnecessary. I stood there calmly. You went out late at night with your ex and told me to relax twice. She rolled her eyes slightly. That same subtle dismissive gesture she always used when she felt cornered. He needed someone to talk to. I told you that. And you're making this bigger than it is. It is big, I said. At least for me. She crossed her arms. So leaving without talking first was your solution? It was the first time I chose myself, I replied. For a moment she had no comeback. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. She'd always been quicker with words than me, but something about the calm in my voice unsettled her. She thrived in chaos, arguments, emotional fireworks, dramatic confrontations. She didn't know what to do with quiet certainty. Look, she finally said, lowering her tone. Let's just go home and talk. I don't want things to fall apart over something small. Small. There it was again, the minimizing, the brushing off, the refusal to see beyond her own comfort. No, I said gently. I'm not coming back. Her eyes widened. You're ending things over this? I'm ending things because you stopped respecting me a long time ago. Last night just made it undeniable. Silence stretched between us, long and heavy. Her mask cracked just slightly. So that's it. That's it. She stared at me, searching my face for anger, regret, anything she could latch onto. But I felt strangely steady, like I'd finally stepped out of a storm I hadn't realized I'd been standing in. When she spoke again, her voice had that familiar edge. You'll regret this. I think I already regretted staying, I said. I'm just correcting it. Her jaw tightened. She turned sharply and walked back toward her car. But as she reached it, she spun around one last time. You could have just relaxed, she snapped. I half smiled, not mocking, just tired. Yeah, and you could have respected me. She didn't reply. She got in her car and drove off, tires crunching against the gravel. The calls didn't stop, though. For weeks afterward she called every single day. Some days angry, some days crying, some days pretending nothing had ever happened. But I never answered again because my reply, the one she thought was dramatic, irrational, childish, wasn't any of those things. It was the moment I finally taught her that my silence had more strength than her excuses. And for the first time in a long, long time I truly relaxed.